Evening everyone, thank you for coming. I think, have we got any apologies? We're all here, aren't we?
All here apart from David.
Oh, David,
But
yeah.
I haven't had any apologies from
Yeah.
David.
Oh yeah, David.
Yeah, he didn't send any, so
No.
he may be on his way.
Here he comes. He's walking in now.
Right.
Okay. So we just kicked off. We were wondering if there are any apologies, and we're now all here. So
I'm late.
that's all right.
The train.
Okay, so we are all here. Has anyone got anything they need to declare in terms of declarations of interest, disposable pecuniary interests, or anything else? No. We haven't got anyone in the public here, so we haven't got any representation of interested parties, and I'm not aware of any requests for consideration, so that's fine. So the first then thing to do is look at the minutes of the previous meeting. So we've had those in our packs. If no one's got anything they want to question or clarify, then I will ask someone to propose those. Thank you. And second them. Thank you. And ask for a vote in favour. Okay, so I can sign those, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, so financial matters then. To receive the balance sheet, budget account, hub trading account for October 2018. So again, you've seen those. Is there anything you want to bring to our attention? No.
Has anyone got any questions? Yes, I have. On the P&L, sorry, House tenants has decreased in Scotland.
Just waiting for preschool to get a VAT cleared, so they're not paying the money until the VAT has been resolved. And there's also a lease which is being reviewed for CWA as their roof is falling in down the courthouse. For the Plenton House for preschool.
Preschool.
The lease is under review, and then there's a VAT query from 24 Council. And then our auditor wanted clarification from HMRC, which has been noticed going backwards and forwards since February. And the latest update on that was I spoke to them this week, and they said because it is a self-assessing tax, we believe that they don't need to pay VAT, and we don't charge them VAT. So if they fall under the same category as St Paul's and Gardner School, then they don't need to charge VAT. But I'll still prefer it in writing, because that's how it all started 6 months ago.
Okay. And I see the course house year to date, we've spent an awful lot more than we budgeted for, like I don't know, 30% or something.
Sorry, no.
Courthouse.
I would say that's...
Costs.
So it was 24.5 grand in the budget, and we spent 33 grand. There's some big items.
There was
Is
quite...
this
It
the
was a roof.
Yeah.
It was about 11 or 12,000, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, there's,
And I think it had been agreed in the previous budget.
originally has a 10k budget for that, so it costs more, significantly more, which is the risk you always take with all the buildings. Which is why we need to keep our income up.
It's very nice to see that Hub's made some money this month.
Sorry, what was it?
The Hub.
Oh, I do think we need to look at the other costs involved in running a hub. We should be looking at electricity costs and so on. We should be apportioning at some point. May not make a huge amount of difference, but we should know what it is. We should know what all the extra costs that the hub incurs are.
I agree with that, because it's in many senses it's a false figure. If you're running a business, well, you wouldn't run it because there's not everything in there. But My own view would be that if we're going to look at that, it would probably make more sense to look at it next year, because this is a lot better than what it was and a lot better than what was budgeted, so kind of little steps.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you know, the people who are now running it downstairs, Emma, you know, if we at the end of the year we could break even on this, then
Well, yeah.
you know,
we're
maybe ask a little bit more.
I'm not pushing it, I just think we should know where we are.
You sure? Yeah,
So,
yeah, I'm all for that.
and we might like to think about reviewing the prices again, I think, at some point. Prices of the items now.
Yeah, and that could be talked to with the team leaders and
When did
discussed it.
when did they last go up?
It's not been a year yet.
No, certainly, but I think 1 year from whatever it was last time. We should do.
Yeah, yearly. I wouldn't do it any more than that.
No,
I think it was put up within just before the summer.
no, right, okay, so it's not a long time to go then.
Sort of makes sense to do it for a new financial year, doesn't it, really? So
Yeah.
if we're going to do it.
Can I
I
carry
think
on?
they've done a very good job.
Can I carry on?
Mm.
Paul, we talked about this before, way back when. Scottish Widows, 0.1%.
It's as good as you get.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. We're hoping to get a little bit more by moving to Barclays, but it is negligible. It's always running significantly less than inflation.
Just remind me why we can't put it in somewhere else where I'm getting personally 1.4%.
Like where sometimes they won't allow you to do it.
Right, okay.
You're an individual
Why?
and we're a council.
Council.
I tried moving to other banks
Yeah.
before and they said that the best they can give you is 0.01%. And that was when we were moving £1 million, which just seems...
Presumably we've got to keep reasonable access to it, so we can't tie it up in a 3-year bond or something.
Yeah.
No.
We used to have bonds as well, we get 5%.
Mm.
But again, the bond only gets you about 0.5%.
Mm.
And the last thing that I've got to say is we're paying, I've got to hear somewhere, something like 4-point-something% for our loan from the Public Works Loan Board. That's a long time since I looked at Public Works Loan Board, and I had a quick look today to see if there was any way that we could pay that off and take a loan out at a lesser figure.
Mm.
No, I don't. So, as I say, it's a long time since I looked at all that, so I might be just talking a load of hooey. But is that feasible, do you know?
And as you know, I think you can do it.
I don't
Because we were
know.
talking about it when we were doing putting out additional money for the hub and for the maintenance, and then putting it into one large loan. Because I suspect the interest rates may be slightly lower now than they were when we took things out for the QVH.
Yeah.
So obviously the courthouse loan is now up if that one's finished.
Mm.
It's not something that I've ever had to.
And it's a lot of money. It's, you know, we're still 420 grand lives. It's going to go on to something like, well, long after I'm gone. So it ends up.
Mm.
Goes on from 40
Look into
to 4
that.
years. I'm just looking into it.
Yes, I mean, if you want me to do anything, I will do. I'm done.
Okay, no, thank you. No, thanks for your contribution. I think that's good questions. Okay, we're only receiving these, so if no one's got anything else that they want to ask or raise or clarify, then we will go on to the next item, I think, which is to receive the annual return from the external auditor.
As you will see, I've just put a copy of it on your desk. It's a little bit disappointing. It's not like we've had before. They didn't actually complete the audit until after the 30th of September, so that's why we got a signed signed form that says incomplete, and then even when they did complete it, they still sent the incomplete one as well, because that was the one they sent out. They did question us about the carry forward figure, and said that we should be carrying forward the figure in box 8 and not box 7, of which they did. They said to a few other councils as well, but then they decided not to do that. Our internal auditor is speaking with Northants Calc because there's been a few issues with other councils as well with these auditors. And I'm assuming at some point she'll come back to us and give us an answer to some of our questions. But we've got it back now.
Okay. Okay, so again, I mean, if there's no one
Yeah,
needs
I mean,
to say
this would
anything
be
else,
to
or
go to full council
Yeah.
for approval.
do we need to approve it? Well, not approve it, we're just receiving it, aren't we?
Receiving it
Yeah,
here and
yeah.
then it will go to full council for approval.
What do you mean for approval?
Well, you won't, you approved that you had it back,
Yeah.
but you formally have to do that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't see
Yeah.
how we can approve something that's an external audit. Anyway, there
Yeah.
we go. Okay, fine. If there's nothing else on that item, then we'll have a look at the IT support quotes that you've provided. So again, do you want to just summarise what we've
Yeah,
got?
I mean, they are very, very similar. Obviously, one is very much more detailed than the other. They are sort of similar monthly costs as well. What I've asked for is, I explained what we wanted, much more support, and the support that they give without us having to contact them, because at the moment we have to contact them if something goes wrong, but then they all offer support where they're monitoring your viruses and doing all your updates, and also moving over to Office 365, which we could also put on the iPads, so that you would all have access to OneDrive, as they call it, which is like a drive that you can put. I mean, you probably all know more about Office 365 than I do. But we can also go over to that email as well. So you would all have council emails, and it would all be managed from, and not just the council iPads. You can have it put on your own devices as well. So you can log in. They'll give you a login. You'll go into the email. So, and it just makes it. It's better for GDPR. It means that if you no longer want to be a councillor, we can just close that account down, and you haven't got all the emails sitting on your private accounts. So they're both fairly similar. The Blue Moon one does give costs for the transfer. This company didn't, so I thought perhaps it was free, but it isn't. I did contact them and they just said depends on how long it takes, which didn't really help.
Have you looked at both companies? The alternative company, have you spoken to them? Or have you got any?
Yeah, I had them. He came in, you know.
I mean, Blue Moon is a devil you know, isn't it? And,
It is, yeah.
And you've got a relationship with them, so it's quite a big move to go to somebody else.
They know the server. I mean, I'm sure this company could come in and do it, but like I said, the minute he said, oh, no, we can't really tell you how much that's going to cost.
Yeah.
We've got to do it first, whereas Blue Moon said it's going to cost them about
Well, I think
£500.
Blue Moon are doing a reasonable job.
Yeah.
You've got confidence
Well,
in them, don't you?
That's the issue that I've got, though, is I don't think they are doing a good job, because we've got all the problems that we've had and which haven't been sorted.
I think with regards to the updates and things, I think if we'd have had the support, which I think works out, I don't know, about £20 or £30 a computer, then they would have been managing us a lot closer. But because we have to wait for it to happen, and we don't, I mean, the updates, they just seem to collate, don't they? We thought that they were just happening automatically. Then all of a sudden something does pop up and then you have to contact them.
Isn't this extra cost to make them proactive rather than reactive as they are now?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that they said that they've offered before, but as a council we've just not taken it up. But the fact that they, you know, they will also, I mean, they can't do remote support on the devices, but they can do it on all of the, you know, on everything in the office.
Yeah.
And then they will also do the transfer to Office 365 and the email, but both companies have said we will get more life from our server if we do that as well.
Okay. So that's potential
Both,
saving and benefit. What does it mean incrementally in terms of you know, the run rate that we've had for pay-as-you-go services?
How much we've sent?
So I mean, you know, presumably there's going to be a sort of capital cost to update the PCs, but then there's an ongoing monthly cost as well.
We were probably spending, I think, not a bit bad,
I think we'll see
2,000.
just
Yeah, I've not brought them in, actually, I forgot. But they were about, I think,
Can't gather them all.
they was about, I think this year so far it's about 1,200. The year before I think it was about 2,000. So-
when we take it to full council, can we make sure that we've got just a simple summary that says, yeah, this is what we're currently spending, you know, to do.
We're spending a reasonable amount,
Yeah.
and we have been spending more. Like sometimes we don't have to do anything for a while,
Yeah.
and then you know you have a flurry of things, and it seems to cost a lot. But I think it's been about 1,200 so far
Okay.
that we've spent.
So it would be handy if we could understand what it is we're signing up to. So I mean, I'm not saying even if it is, you know, clearly it's going to be an additional cost. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it,
Yeah.
but I just need to make sure we understand what it is before we say yes.
It's going to be. I mean, if I just it's free. Well, this one I think it's got £309 per month.
Yeah.
And you think we spent about £1,200 so far this year?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you know, you're going to look it's going to be like £3,500, but we will be getting much more support than we are getting at the moment.
And are you wasting a lot of staff time trying to sort out?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, particularly Lisa's wasted lots of time waiting for her computer. Although they did do a series of updates and things on that, and it did speed it up a bit.
yeah.
But they'll be the sorts of things that they will do.
Yeah, I mean, you people in the office are the ones who have to deal with the Blue Moon. So if you're happy that they're competent isn't maybe not the right word.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't feel like we've had brilliant services. What irritates me a bit.
whenever I've spoken to them, they've been great. Whenever you've spoken to them, they've been great.
Yeah, but they haven't fixed it.
But they've any problem I've had, they've sorted.
Right.
And I don't tend to have many problems. I don't. Yours
Mine
is.
have always been resolved.
okay.
But Lisa's been,
It's Lisa's,
really been struggling. Yeah.
That is that
Very difficult.
she struggled with.
Yeah.
Go on.
Is this, that's in these two reports, what you want, or have you thought of a figure and this is what you might get for the figure?
No, this is what I asked them for, so that we've got. They were, you know, managing our systems much more closely than they are at the moment, and also I wanted to be able to do something for the councils as well. And
What I'm getting round to is, for an extra few quid, we're not going to get a super duper deluxe service that will take us
between
through
the two?
for the end of time. No, not between the two. The specification.
I think we're going to get a decent service, much better than we're getting at the moment, and we will be able to. You know, I'm hoping that we're not going to have the problem. And I can't say that it won't happen for definite, because things can happen. You can get a virus, but I think we're more vulnerable at the moment than we would be if we got somebody managing us.
Sorry. Just on your point, we can take a 12-month. The contract's for 12 months. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other one
So you
offers
could
slight
fire a warning shot across their bows and
Yeah.
say, listen, some of our people aren't very happy, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So I was just going to say, I think it's a good idea if you make that original document you had when you asked them for quotes as
Right.
part of the contract.
Okay.
So this is my expectations.
Mhm.
And you've got all these words. You never know when these people put the words down. You know, so you put your request
Yeah.
as part of the contract. That's
Mhm.
what I asked for.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Something's written there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, they were both, the other company, they came to see me,
Yeah.
quite thorough, went through everything. I mean, they did say that they would do a free health check of everything
Mm.
if we went with them,
Mm.
which meant going through everything that we've got, looking at any
Mm.
flaws that we might have or any vulnerabilities. But then you've got Blue Moon that knows us and knows what we've got set up.
I think based on just reading the two documents, I had more confidence in the Blue Moon one than the other. It seemed to have many pages of waffle in it.
Yeah.
Loads of pages and one figure.
Yeah. Mm.
Right, yeah, everything's pointing in the same direction.
Mm.
Okay, so are we happy then to recommend to full council that we go with the Blue Moon offer?
It's an unfortunate company name. There's a song keeps coming.
But I'll make sure that
You need a
we've
Yeah.
proposal?
Do we need
got-
do we need a proposal and a vote on that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll propose it then.
I'll second it.
And those in favour? Yeah, so we're all in favour of that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So new photocopier next
Yes.
item.
This was a company that just approached us because they happened to be in, I think they must have been in Angle. We've still got 1.5 years left on our current contract. However, they've come back with a cheaper per quarter, and they will also pay whatever it costs for us to come out of the current contract that we're in.
So is this a different company or a
Yeah,
different
different
provider?
company.
Okay, right.
Closer.
Yeah.
I've spoken to, you probably see my little notes that I put on there. They currently have the contract with Woodford and Co. And so I contacted them, and they couldn't sing their praises in that.
Right.
They actually said it's not just once you're with them, they never come near you again. They ring, they pop in. I mean, they've been twice here, haven't they? They manage all of the photocopier remotely, so
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about sending in a number of copies, which is what we currently do at the moment. They automatically send the cartridges. Yeah, I mean, it's £36 a quarter cheaper.
So it's a no-brainer then, isn't it, really? And
Yeah.
it's,
What's
and
the
it,
issue of GDPR you mentioned?
Sorry?
What was the issue of GDPR? So it's a benefit from GDPR having this new printer, or did I misread that?
Oh yeah, they do talk about that. I think it's how you store. They've got some sort of way that you can store things, so you can scan documents, you can put them in the cloud. I mean, this isn't what we've got this for. We've literally just got it to do copies
Right.
and scanning. But they did say that they've got other options.
I
But
just had a question over the cost there then. That cost of £0.004 or 0.4 of a pence per sheet, is that without the paper? We provide the paper?
We provide the paper.
Okay.
That's like,
Is that black and white? Is that
Yes.
yeah, black colours about 0.5, I think.
Yes, I thought that.
That's not bad, actually.
No, seemed very reasonable.
As long as people print both sides.
Well, I am trying to do that at the moment.
and you're happy that the machine specification is equivalent?
Yeah, it's the same. Again, I
equivalent
asked
to that, yeah.
Maddie at Woodford and Co. I asked her, do they have any problems? Because I mean, we haven't actually had any problems with
We
it.
haven't had any problems with this printer.
And she said no. She just had one issue, and it was only where the settings weren't quite right for something she was going to print, and she said if somebody was out within the hour to fix it. They can fix things remotely, like, and over the telephone. I mean, it's difficult because we haven't had any of the problems with the other one. We can't compare whether they're going to be any better.
Is there any cost to come out of the current contract?
Yeah, they're going to honour it. They're going to pay it.
They will pay it?
Yeah.
Smashing.
Yeah. Which is why we think that the guy, the next day after they'd been in, the guy from that we get our photocopy came in to see if everything was all right.
So the interesting thing is whether the current supplier will reduce his price based
Yeah,
on
the
this.
trouble is
Because
with
he's got a lot of sunk cost now. He's got an old printer, hasn't he? It's a year left in its life, you know, which he isn't going to be able to do anything with.
yeah.
So, I mean, like you've got, I don't know what it's worth, what he'd have to come in with for it to be worth our while.
I don't know. I mean, I get the
Because you say we
impression
haven't got a
that
problem with it.
yeah, could you ring up and find out what we've got left?
There's a stupid amount of money.
Yeah, to come out, and that was about all they'd offer.
Same with the franking machine as well.
Franking machines, yeah, the cash on those things.
The franking machine was a 6-year contract.
So when you say stupid amount of money to come out,
No, the one for the franking machine was a more stupid amount, because that was signed on a 6-year contract.
right? But then to cancel a printer contract then is how much?
We'd have to pay the costs with what it would cost us for the year and a half,
Yeah,
and you have to give them 90 days notice as well.
you pay them anyway for what you are going to have.
But it's due on,
But-
will pay
Yeah,
that
so
cost.
they'll pay that anyway.
But I mean, that does sort of beg the question, what's in it for them?
Yeah,
There's something a bit smelly around here, isn't there?
What, for this company? They just get you.
Yeah, but you know, just as you say, if we're paying a year and a half, they're going to give us this thing for free.
For a year and a half, effect. Well, for more than a year and a half actually, because if they're going to have to pay that
Yeah.
money
Oh, yeah.
into the other.
Cash you're going to have to pay out.
How long is the contract we have to sign?
I think it's 3 years. I think. Hang on a minute. I may have read that wrong.
We're stuck with a huge contract, a long contract.
Because I mean, there must be an argument that says if we say wait for a year and a half until this is finished, our contract's finished, we should be getting a much better deal from these guys because they don't have to pay a load of money to.
When he came in the next day, did you tell him that his competition had been in?
No, I didn't. Because at that point I hadn't had this anything back, so I didn't know what I was going to be dealing with.
I think I might have a look at what they might to
You
come up
certainly
with.
asked them.
So I can't at the moment find the length of this contract they're proposing. Is it
I've just looked
written
through
in
that.
the document?
It's not in that one, and I haven't been given it. I thought
So that might be.
I thought I'd got 3 years, but I will go back to them and ask them.
Yeah. But it just feels extremely suspicious. You know, because of the amount of money they're offering.
Too good to be true.
Yes.
There must be something within the trade that goes on where they write this off against each other somehow. So that otherwise, I mean, if we could see a saving of 36.27 per quarter, effectively they're losing that amount of money per quarter, giving us a photocopier, and they're paying out £36 a quarter as well.
Unless we're paying over the odds at the minute.
Yeah. You see, when you look at that 0.4 of a pence per sheet, it sounds a bit
Because I think
strange.
I think the one we've got, well, the one we've got at the moment is a 5-year contract.
Okay.
This says compared to current outlay in their quote. So they presumably know our current outlay.
Yeah, they know what we're paying.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems odd unless there is something within the trade where
I mean,
they'll negotiate with the other
from
firm.
the-
It won't cost them.
yeah, from what they said at Woodford and Co, they didn't feel that there was anything dodgy with them.
But I don't find out the length of that contract, I think that's pretty key, isn't it?
And also whether the prices are fixed for the duration as well. We'll end up with our costs on the new contract escalating.
I think you're right,
I think,
so if it's right, you should go back to the other company and see what they can do.
Yeah, can do, yeah.
I'd also be tempted to ask workflow. How do they do the finances on that? Because it might be a simple explanation for us. It just makes us feel more comfortable.
Okay.
Well, there's no hurry with this anyway, is there? So
No,
I mean,
it wasn't.
in
It
theory,
wasn't
but-
anything that we were thinking of.
no. So
But,
in theory, the longer we wait, the cheaper it should get, because there'll be less money to pay back on the old contract. So we're not going to
No, I'll
we're
just
not going
get
to
some more
ask. We're not going to put that
information,
forward for approval, or I'm not asking.
Bit more
It's a bit more information. Yeah. Okay. Next item is to receive an update on the internet banking process.
Cameron was looking into this bit for the, what's her name? The lady came back and said that there's a slight change of plan when it comes down to signatures, whereas we require 3 signatures. She's now saying that the current model won't allow 3 signatures, it will only allow 2, unless you go for the next level up of banking, which there is a charge. Did you look at the link of it?
I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay.
So we're no further forward with it, really, are
She
we?
wants to
Because
know whether we want to pursue that or whether we don't.
we can't not have 3 signatures, I guess,
That's
can't
what I
we?
said.
So
And we can get that, and what you get with the extra level up, there is a small charge, which I think is £20 a month, but what you do get with that is far more security, which I think is a necessity anyway. So, but before I pursue that, then we need to know that I mean, the thing is, there will be more costs related to internet banking than there will be through our own bank, because that's 42 quid a quarter, £168 a year, and that's it. But when you get to this one, they want you to pay for every entry you make. Internet banking, some of it's free, some of it probably won't be, certainly in the future. We're one of the few countries that don't pay a huge amount for our bank charges. So pricing will go up, but I don't think there's a choice. We've got to go internet banking.
I agree that there's not a choice. I suppose it's just making sure we make sure we're going with the right provider. I mean, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of banks out there, aren't there? It's a case of how we run over getting the right one.
Yeah,
But a lot of them won't do
a lot
it.
of them won't do it.
No,
though.
you did explain last time. Yeah.
If I can find out more from Nancy.
Yeah, I mean, the Unity Trust Bank, we know will, and we know that that's one that lots of councils and
Right.
committees and organisations use. The reason we looked at that was, well, it
That
was
was
the
agreed
cost.
about 3 years ago.
Yeah, but the costs are quite, when we went through it on the internet, costs are quite high, weren't they?
It wasn't so much the cost, it was more the interest rates, as Terry was talking about. They give much lower interest rate than Barclays did. It was.
But I thought we were
4
also
times
going to be
lower.
paying much more than paying for every payment that we paid in, for every
I think eventually you will
transaction.
find most of them anyway.
and it seemed to work out to a lot, because our internal auditors with the council that she is at, they're with Unity Trust, and I asked her, 'cause I said it seems to us like it's a lot more money than we're currently paying on bank charges. But she said it is, but it's worth having it.
So shall I get enough information for everyone to make a decision on next Tuesday?
Yeah. Can we just make sure we've got a comparison between the new Barclays card charges and the Unity Trust
Unity
charge?
Trust, yeah.
And yeah, I'm sort of have some sympathy for what you say, which is that, you know, even if we do end up having a little bit of an increase in our costs, we've got to find a better solution than we've got at the moment.
I mean, one of
So-
the benefits was Barclays, because there is a Barclays still in town, so it was going to help
When it's open.
with paying in. I
Yeah.
know it's not open every day, but it's difficult.
So is there nothing through the local government association that could help us with this issue? Because we seem to be doing this on our own.
It seems to be a Unity Trust Bank that most of them go to.
Oh, okay, right. So there must be a reason for that.
But like smaller councils, just the clerk just opens the online. I mean, when I was at the council I was at before, it was in my name.
Yeah,
I could do anything.
we've been through that before.
Yeah. But that is how.
But if you say the unity of what most of the council are going for, there must be a reason for it.
Yeah, that seems to be the one that they go for.
Generally these things go with the masses. And
Do we know anybody, any other council who's got our sort of turnover, who we could plug into? and see
Similar,
what they're
yeah. I
paying?
mean, Tina's is probably similar because they probably not as much turnover, but a similar process because they've got a community centre that they hire out. They've got a bar, and there's constant banking money and that sort of thing. So we were going to go and have a look at her system, weren't we? But I can find out from the other town clerks what they've got.
yeah, so it gives us confidence in
Yeah.
the most likely choice.
Okay, so again, we're just after an update, so no decisions
Yeah.
at this stage. But
It's
just
still in.
keep considering it. Okay. Right, last item then to consider the budget for 1920.
Do you mind if I carry on?
You please do. Yeah.
Everything's up on the screen. I've created a document which is not telling people what to do for the budget, it's just giving people a starting tone. So it's all broken down to every individual nominal code we have. There's one column which is everything from last year, 2017-18. Next column is everything for 2018-19 for the first 6 months of the year. Column F is the current budget, and the column here is everything, primarily is double because it's obviously 6 months of the year, unless I know anything different. So some things where you've got, like rates, I know that it won't be double what you've done because the rates finish in January. Things like the farmers market, some of them pay annually at the beginning of the year, so I've taken that into consideration. And what's in the proposed budget is just my interpretation of what it could be, but that's not for me to say, it's better enough to say. And if anyone's got any questions on anything, there are notes against most budget headings, so you can see what you've got for the market rent for the past 5 years. There's always been 13, 14, 15,000 quid.
We haven't got this document yet, though, have we? So
Yeah.
no, not the
You've got a budget
spreadsheet.
document in front of you,
Yeah.
but I'm just going to talk from here,
Oh,
so I'll
right,
make
yeah.
any changes here now
Right.
and then send it out on email.
That's the intention. So okay, fine.
So we look at it in email, we get a copy of this.
Yeah.
So we look at
Yeah.
Good. Very good, thank you.
So everything's there, so if anyone's got any questions, like for the market, everyone can see that in 2010, 15,000, and it's always been that to 2017, where it's 13.5. That's where we increased the prices. Last year it was 14,500, and it's projected at the moment to be around about 14,000 quid.
Karen seems to be doing quite a good job in there, decorating.
And she's saying the issue is,
Yeah, so.
it's difficult to keep people on the market.
Yeah, oh, yes, I know, she's doing a good job.
She is, yeah.
She works hard at it.
Yes, she is, so.
Okay.
So for all of it, it depends on what you want as a budget for 2019-20. Tony and Terry, you were in a meeting last week, and if you want anything to go into the proposed budget for 2021, 21, 22,
5-year plan.
any ideas for 3-year plan, yeah, just say and then I'll put it in.
That's fine. Don't do that.
So on the first row, you've got market rent, which I'll put in at about 14,500. I think because you put the rent rates up last year, I don't think it's quite right to put it up again this year, but not my decision. So those are the figures you have for the past 4 or 5 years. What do you consider to be your proposed budget for next year? And bear in mind, you've got about 300 of these lines.
Well, rather than doing it line by line, let's just have a look at the whole thing, shall we?
Yeah, okay.
Overall, I mean, we could sit here and debate whether 40 quid more for the Italian market is
The reason I
sensible
put-
or not.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
We do have to do it like
Although I
that.
think the Italian market are
Yeah,
looking
that's
to do.
straightforward because the Italian market, there's one market, 400 quid. The French market, there's going to be 2 next year, so 300 quid. You can take us, what I don't want to do is force you into going what I've said is, should be the budget.
Yeah.
Is it the Frenchman that's doing 2 next
No,
year?
there's two next
It's
year.
not the Italian.
No, the Italian
The
one.
costs,
Sorry, no, there's 2 Italian markets, yeah.
costs presumably will be increasing in line with inflation or something like that as a general rule.
Costs, I would have thought so, yeah.
Yeah, so 3 or 4%.
Yeah.
Well,
Depends on whether it's the inflation for costs or whether it's the inflation for wages.
Well, we've got more people coming on, haven't we? New staff coming on, that's going to affect the wages bill.
Well, no, we're not. We haven't got any more staff coming on.
Well, we've got gaps, which will save us money, put it this way. We won't have
That's what I was going to say.
any. Yeah.
We've got gaps to fill, but we're not taking.
No, I know,
Any
but it means
more,
that this year's figure and next year's figure will be different. Because
Well, there's a difference between using this year's budget and this year's actual, isn't it? So
exactly,
if you use this year's budget,
yeah,
that's the safest
Yeah,
option going
yeah.
forward.
yeah.
If you use the actuals. But George, what you know, as you say, when you've got so many lines as we've got in here, it's only looking for big exceptions, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Because it's a budget,
Yeah.
we have 3% just doesn't come into it. We'll stick to the round numbers, but if there's any exceptions, like we think the market's going to close down,
Yeah.
then we ought to put it in there.
But we should, as a general rule, we should be putting up our costs by RPI or CPI every year, otherwise it just gets...
Yeah, but when I talk about this rounding thing, though, you understand,
Yeah, yeah,
one of the stallholders on the
Of course
market
not.
not to turn up, and the CPI is a totally relevant number.
But our income isn't going up by that.
No.
Our income's remaining static. Some of our tenants haven't reduced rent, so our income is going down.
Yeah, that's what I expected, unless we've got anything marvellous going to happen with the market. And we talk about the market all day long, haven't we?
Yeah.
What's the price per foot in 2016? I
We
can't
went
read
up to
it.
£1.30 per foot.
What was it before that?
It was £1.20, £1.15.
Right. So we put it up about 15.
Yeah. But in terms of, you can just read through the lines and they should be just straightforward, give or take. And if you're happy with those, then I'll just keep them in.
That's courthouse 15p per square foot increase.
No, this was the market.
Sorry,
This was the market rent.
markets, sorry.
Yeah, markets, yeah. In 2017, it went up from £1.15 per foot to £1.30. So
I don't
like
understand
15.
why the whole PDQ, is it how catering goes up by about, you got a proposed increase of 5,000, we've done very little in the last year, haven't we? Is that on that back?
Where are you on?
Oh, you've gone down for too far.
Yeah, it's 4603.
Are we staying on markets, or are we saying quite happy with that market?
Sorry,
Well, I was suggesting that,
Go away and
I mean, we go away and have a think about it and see. But I mean, there's no one. I don't believe anyone is in a position to come up with a different number from
So
market
we
than
think about
Paul
that.
suggested. And it's very similar. It's very similar to the current budget and the current projection. So it seems sensible to me.
We don't come back together again before the next full council will presumably be going to approve this, are we?
That's the only issue.
Do we need to approve it next full council?
Well, the issue is,
Yeah,
it'll have to be approved at full council.
yeah.
If you go away now and we don't do any of it, it means in December, the December finance meeting, you're going to near enough have to sit here and near enough get it to where we want it to
Yeah.
be.
Mm.
We have to have the precept in by the 18th of January. So that means having it approved and everything at full council.
Okay.
So the full council meeting, did we work it out? It's
Where's the week? It's next.
the
It's the week.
after that, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's the 22nd of January. So it would have to be in before that January meeting.
Right.
They,
Have we got a full council meeting in
We
December?
don't full council in
yes,
December.
18th of
Yeah,
December.
that's it. Yeah.
So you-
earlier full council meeting.
So you've only got this meeting, well, you've got
Well,
this
next-
meeting to look at it,
next
next finance meeting.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to approve it at full
Approve it at
council.
full
Full council
council.
on the 18th.
If there were any issues, you've just got one other meeting, which would be the neighbourhood plan full council
Yeah.
meeting at the beginning of January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But by then, that
Yeah.
literally should be, you know.
Well, I mean, given that no one's actually seen,
Fine tuning by then.
Gi-
Yeah.
given that no one's actually seen this before 5 minutes ago, I mean, I think we ought to have a reasonably efficient run through it tonight, highlighting
Yeah.
the big differences.
Yeah.
Go away and have a think about it a little bit. If we've got questions or things we need clarifying, try and get them done before the next finance meeting. Come back to the next finance meeting with draft number 2, where hopefully we'll be in a position to, with a little bit more
Yeah.
knowledge and
That's what
thought
we
behind
want.
it, finalise it ready for proposal to full council. Is that okay with everyone? So,
So we're going to go through now looking at the bigger differences.
so I would suggest that would be the thing to do, would be to go through where there's big significant changes. I mean, the markets bit all seems to be pretty much in line with this year's projected. When we get to the hub, there seem to be some quite big changes. So again, perhaps could ask Paul
Well,
to
we
explain
had,
the
we had a
thinking.
budget of £10,000 for catering and we didn't get anywhere near that because we haven't done any marketing. I think that's what it was, isn't it? So
Well, the focus.
yeah, and not used.
We'll start with 4601. So 4601, we've changed the budget by £9,000 there to move it more into line with the projected.
That was me being optimistic because most of the monthlies have been £7,500. The latest month was £8,500. And if the marketing is done correctly for August and for December, which are the 2 months which are always low,
Yeah,
we know when they're going to be.
yeah.
We need to do something to ensure that people do come through the door and buy things on those months. And if you then have £7,500 a month coming through, you've got 90 grand.
Okay.
And if you can push that up to £8,500 a month, which is what the latest month was, that's £100,000. And you have to be optimistic about the hub improving.
Yeah, but it's going to happen if we make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
last year, this year's a £15,000 marketing budget, of which nothing's been spent.
Yeah. Well, that's not just on the hub, that was on the whole thing, wasn't it? Everything. So,
But and the main areas we want to improve are the hub. It's our main source of
QBH as well.
yeah, which you can do through the hub as well. If you do catering using people from the hub at the Queen Victoria Hall, in both ways you're a winner all round. You hire more, you sell more, people are more encouraged to come. And then we don't need to subsidise the Queen Victoria Hall, which saves us more money.
Are we showing a different ratio between cash and card receipts for the hub?
The hub is the cash and the PDQ is PDQ.
Card.
Card, yeah. But the ratio of the two relative to what it's been in previous years looks different. I wondered if there was a reason for that.
There's just more people paying on card.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind the 40,000 budget for PDQ though? Because that seems to be dramatically different from either projected or budget this year.
I'm just being very optimistic. I'm working on the basis, I started off with £8,500 or £7,500 per month and broke that down into those figures, 45 in terms of the hub, 40 in terms of PDQ and 5,000 catering.
Okay.
It's just my interpretation of, I think it will improve. It's currently budgeted to get about £80,000. I think it should next year go up to 90. Everyone down there knows what they're doing now. We know what the market is. You know the type of people we're targeting all the time. The unique selling points of the hub. So build on it.
Okay.
That's my view. But it's not my budget.
No. But I mean, you know, but you're presenting this as a discussion point, so we need to know the thinking as to why we're starting from here. Okay.
Sorry, can I go back a stage then on this issue because I've lost the plot somewhere? These numbers here are the cash income from the hub,
Cash
Yes.
and PDQ. Yeah.
but the expenditure of the hub is somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all income on the first part.
Is this the right way to do what we're doing or trying to do?
Well, you're going through income first and
Yeah.
then expenses afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to reinvent it, it just seems an awful way to do it.
Well, that's not how you,
It's not
that's
really-
not how you present the profit and loss for the hub. You'd be using the...
just as an item in its own right. But- Okay, now I understand. I understand now. The profits and loss. Yeah.
Okay.
So is everyone happy getting that sort of money in next year for the hub?
Well, who is the staff member responsible for getting that to the creep up to my left.
You see, I have to say, I've got a beef with all this, and that is that men in grey suits sit round the table and tell the people who've got to actually perform, this is what you're going to do next year.
Yeah.
And
That's why I
that's
asked who
it.
the staff member was, because if you're happy with it, Emma, then that's what we go with.
Yeah. I think it perhaps these are figures that certainly the team leaders or anybody in the hub have even had a look at,
No,
and I think we perhaps should.
for this month, they've done 8,500, 8,004.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but I think we should at least, before we finalise on these figures, have a little conversation down, with the team downstairs and just say, this is what we're looking at. We want you to increase your income by £10,000 next year.
Yeah.
At one point, when we're going to have Lisa, as the
Well, Lisa was a sort of but
office manager of the hub, able to give focus to people downstairs.
that's probably going to chat, depending on what role she takes on, that will then change, so it's going to move back to me.
Okay.
So,
For the last 2 years, that's 74,017, 76,000 in 2018, and it's moving towards 80,000 now.
but I think I'd like to
Yeah.
sit down with them and have a chat, and just show them that this
I do
is.
think they need to be monitored. I mean, you've got 2 team leaders down there and lots of part-timers and so on, and so it's,
They are monitored.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I need somebody like you or Lisa to
Yeah, well,
focus
it's me at the minute.
to
Yeah,
focus them on a regular basis, I think. So,
yeah.
and, presumably will help with the marketing we do always.
But again, I think possibly
with the
they.
focus we give from the
Yeah.
estates.
I think they should be included in any ideas for marketing as
Of
well.
course they should be there on
Yeah.
the front end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll be able to tell you
yeah.
whether something's going to work or it isn't.
No, they've got lots of their own ideas, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably be fine with it, but I just think probably before we finalise it,
Well, yeah, I think that, they should be
would
given
like
the
to sit
objective.
down.
Because last year we budgeted for £42,000 loss.
Yes.
And luckily, we're not near that.
No.
Thank you, Tony. You've done a very good job.
Right, so we've only got 436 more lines to go.
I think things like the international market, 500 quid is standard. Christmas market, again, I'm looking to improve for next year. Because that's expanding all the time. So we'll look to be getting 6,000 rather than 5,000.
These are pickings go up a lot, isn't it? 5003.
Can we just stay on the same page?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, all the others look all right to me, I just
So,
Well, now
I mean, in terms of the first page, I mean, the numbers all look pretty much in line with this year's projection, with the exception of the bit that we've just been debating, the hub. So I would suggest that's probably all we need to do for tonight on that page for now.
and finally,
Page 2.
No, we can't go that fast.
right.
I don't mind how fast we go as long as we're on the same page at the same time. So again, what are we looking at in the second page? Is there anything significantly different from projected, or is it all just pretty much in line with what we're projecting for this year?
What number did your page 2 start at?
4,800 to 4,999.
We've been through the Chatham Museum and we know what's been reduced there. All the council, all the units are now reasonably well filled. So because they've got leases organised, they should be straightforward unless somebody leaves.
Unit 7's, that's also in line with project, isn't it? Unit 7's doing better than budget, but everything else is pretty much in line with budget, isn't it?
burials part, I thought we couldn't bury any more people.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Yeah.
The death rate's gone up, hasn't it?
So I think the people that have already pre-booked their
Oh,
plot.
really? So we can actually do the next 3 years on this then?
Well, we've stopped doing that now, so nobody can pay in advance, but obviously people are cashing in on
Which
Would
is
you like to
something-
get the deaths in early?
No, I mean, just on that number there, based on what you just said there, is that reasonable to increase the income from burials?
Well, I don't think you can really put
Do you
an
mean the
exact
figures?
figure on it
Yeah, we've
because
got this year actual 4.6, isn't it? And we're going up 6.5.
Well, 2018,
Projected is 5.
Yeah,
is the
you
figures.
bring an extra £1,000.
An extra £1,000 or
Okay,
something
all
like
right.
that.
Yeah.
The accumulated figures are
How
for
many clocks?
burials, memorials and miscellaneous.
How many clocks? £1,000.
how many plots are £1,000?
Yeah.
Well, they're not £1,000.
This is another target for the council to make sure not people
I'd
die.
say, I think that's it, it's about 300.
So we're looking
It's a
to
target,
try.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I would have thought that burials should be about the same as this year.
They, yeah, we've probably got about
Well, they range
7
from
or 8.
anything from 5,000 to
It's not
9,000 in the space of a year.
Yeah,
So
So actually, we've had less people being. We've had less revenue this year, so we've had less people being interred, presumably, than
Yeah.
than
is that
with
because there's no
normal.
space left? We haven't got any space to
Yeah.
put it.
We've got a few
Buy one, get
spaces
one free
left,
now.
but we're down. I think we're nearly in single figures now. I think.
yeah.
But is it to do with just the natural variability about how many, or is it to do with people finding other ways to dispose of their loved ones when the time comes? It's a great conversation to be having, isn't it?
Subject to growth consolidation.
No. It was. I mean, you know, is there a trend? There's not really, is there? You can't really say there's a trend in those numbers. It just is a variable amount. It's just not. Doesn't look like it's a case that less and less people are looking for a burial. It's just that it varies, as you say, by a factor of about 2, depending on
Yeah,
It
okay.
can
who's.
almost vary.
Yeah.
If you're down to single figures for the number of units, and we say that they're worth about 300 each to us, or whatever it is, then that suggests the income's going to drop by about 50% because we haven't got enough space to...
Well, that's for people that like die and then want to come and be buried. We have got people that have, before we had this stop on letting people pay for their plots before, we have got people that have paid for plots that are dying as well.
Okay. I mean,
I suppose the imponderable is, as and when and if that Stoke Dwell Road development ever happens and the size of the cemetery increases, what do you do? Go on a marketing spree to try and get more people to... No.
to die.
You'll need to make a bigger, you'll have a bigger income because you'll have, after the neighbourhood plan, depending on how many extra houses go in, you'll have an increase in population, so you'll have an increase in
Yeah.
death rate
Then we've got somewhere to put them.
within the town.
Yeah. But you're not going to go marketing it. You want that to
No.
last you 20 years.
No,
don't you?
it's
No,
not something
no.
you market, no.
Just one line I do notice here that we've got nothing in the neighbourhood plan.
That's not a cost, that's a grant, I think.
That's
Oh,
an
that's
income.
Yeah, it's
money.
income,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, sorry, I'll go to the next page.
So you have that money in the form.
Yeah.
So, basically on that page, I can't see anything that is significantly out of step with the budget or the projected for this year. So again,
Budgeting for the same preset by the looks of it.
At the moment, I'm waiting to see what the income expenditure is before we get to
Yeah,
the period should then decrease. So in terms of the market that we're talking about, that's Kevin, who is now doing the farmers market, St Osiris, the recreation ground and the churchyard. So he's putting an invoice for £160 a month, and that is a bargain. So I'm budgeting for that for this year.
Okay, because our budget last year was £180 the whole year, it looks like. that right? Oh, that's right. No, next time. Yeah, so the current year is £180. How on earth are we going to pick up this over £180 a year?
So where's the £180?
That line there.
Me mistyping them.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, me mistyping. So,
So it should be 18.
oh no, that's what we budgeted at the time. That's come straight from the 2018-19 budget.
For some reason,
We changed what we're doing, haven't we? For,
The figures in that column are from the budget for this year.
Does that mean we didn't pick up litter in the past?
Must have done,
so we've either changed what we're doing dramatically, or we've made a mistake when we
No,
moved
it
it.
looks like a typo
yeah.
in
I'm
this
not
year's
sure which
budget.
one you're, that £180 in there was straight from this current year's budget, the one we're working to, and that's what was budgeted last year.
So we,
So it does look like a typo though, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Because we spent 480 already this year.
but in the typo in when we were doing last year's budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
And last year's budget,
Yeah.
actual cost was over £1,000. Now we
Yeah.
arrived at 180.
so we either
It's typing error,
Yeah, it's like
just went in wrong, yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
and wasn't picked up.
Can we just go back a line? What's the thinking on the line above? So, oh, it's in line with projected, isn't it? It's in line with projected, isn't it? Basically,
Is that the farmers?
farmers market manager costs would the projected is double the budget, but
That's what it's going to cost.
right.
All the information's on the screen, that's what it used to be when Diana and Panic were doing it, and that's how much it's costing now. Because we're now paying double time for Saturdays.
All right.
Okay.
So instead of being, well, so it's a significant increase.
Now, the glancing down the rest of that list, the proposed budget all seems to be very much in line with the previous year's budget, although there's actually quite a lot that don't seem to have any projected costs. Is that because we haven't had any costs?
It's a contingency, isn't it? All of them, I think.
For example, Jerry,
Well, 5105,
5105, repairs and maintenance, we generally put in £500 or £1,000 depending, because at some point something bad happens and it generally costs a lot of money.
but we haven't spent anything this year. Yeah.
We
In
had,
2017 we spent £147, that was nothing last year.
was it last year that we had the porch? No, sorry, that's not.
Not at St Size, no.
Oh, that's the wrong
That was
place.
the Strong Centre.
That's St Ossip.
So, I mean, going down a bit further down the line, there's a load similar to that. There's Occupation Road Clubs, Recreation Ground, Rockingham Hills, Eastwood Road. So,
Yeah.
again, this is the same thing. Again, it's provisional sums in case there's some costs come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't necessarily expect anything to come for all of them, but amongst all of them, we've got a bit of money.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it only takes one thing to go wrong for £4,000 or £5,000.
Yeah.
Can do.
Yeah.
So it's not. I mean, it doesn't really make too much difference, I suppose, but it isn't worth lumping them all together into some as a contingency rather than allocating to all these different.
I think so. I think it's far too fine then.
We have had that before where there was a contingency and then full council wanted to change it back so it's against each other. So they wanted to change
I'm
it
sure
back,
it's swung at least 3
So,
times,
okay.
if not more.
Let's
over
not-
the
let's
last
not- let's-
X number of
Although
years.
these are the
let's-
sorts of things that we would be having in the, what's it, 3-year plan? 3-year plan, really.
we're right.
Yeah,
Well, if I would suggest if we're going to put a new sum in for a 3-year plan, we need to round all some of all these up and put it into there.
Yeah, well, that's
Because
right. Well,
with
the
regards-
house is only part of this, isn't it?
with regards to the toilets, I think they need doing up.
They do. I think they do.
How much do you want to spend on them?
Well, I mean,
Because we normally bring forward £1.5 grand every year, but I think there's still how much money we have, £6,500 we can bring forward from reserves
Is that the reserve that we got, the one of the money we got from East
from
Northampton?
March 2012 down.
What
Don't
specifically?
we draw that across each year though for the running costs?
The only reason we do that is because the money's available, you can draw it all in one go if you want to. There's no reason why you can't
So it
afford
costs more than that to do
£4,500 to do it.
Yeah, I think they need a serious doing that. They've even they've still got East Northampton's council on
Is it?
that, even though they're ours.
There's a
Maybe sometime, yeah.
Still a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So should we be looking at getting some quotes for it?
What about rates? What sort of increase are we projecting on the rates this year?
It's normally about 2%. I just based it on what we've currently got for most of these. So things like some decent rates and toe-size rates there are for.
Oh, well, isn't there been something in the recent budget about public convenience rates?
I was thinking more rates on
Oh, what,
in
general,
across
oh,
the
right,
items.
okay.
But yeah, that specifically, yeah.
I've gauged it basically on history. So whatever history is there, because they do go up and down, they don't always increase. The
Well,
one
the rates,
No. So toe size 2014 was 2,500 quid, and next year it dropped to 1,800.
Mm.
do you know why?
No. And some of the other ones we have rebates of about £3,500. Again, don't know why. No.
Have they had rateable value reviews on them?
They do have reviews, yeah.
That's probably where it's
Mm.
some of it's come from then.
Are you suggesting we should put in a decent amount for increase in rates? And the government's talking about releasing some.
I'm sure it's almost like there's 100% relief on public toilets.
We're not,
That I
we're
heard.
talking about rates in general,
Yeah.
letting the house, everything else.
In that case, we
Oh,
won't
right.
have any rates on our toilets, but on our other buildings.
Yeah.
It's just knowing what the rates might increase by this year.
I don't think we know yet, do we?
There's no
No.
consistency to it.
I don't think we'll know possibly until.
Now, is that something we
next
could
year.
follow up with ENC?
Yeah.
To see if
We don't know
whoever
if that
handles
happens.
rating and valuations can tell us what they're likely to increase them by.
You normally find that out in January, by which time.
Bit late.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they must be doing the same exercise we're doing. They must have some thoughts now, even if we knew those thoughts. Even if it's not an accurate figure, it would give us some guidance.
Did anyone read the email which I think Emma sent out about budgeting and precepts from Danny Moody?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's up on the screen, and there's loads of stuff on it. But there's one bit which I highlighted there.
That seems we should be putting up our preset anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just, I don't agree with that. It's just.
We've got 60 grand.
Pass on information.
Yeah, no. I know it's not. You're saying. I think that comes back to the thing I've said about before, which is that I just don't think it's acceptable to just keep banging money onto the preset to cover the things that NCC and others decide they don't want to fund anymore.
But very shortly, we were promised, I don't know if it's this coming year or the following year, we were promised that we would be getting preset capping coming in.
Yeah, it's not happening. Not-
You've heard nothing more on
No,
that? So it's
certainly not
gonna
happening in the next
Government's
3
slightly
years.
preoccupied with slightly
I'm sure it
larger
says
risks.
that is in
Just
3
a
years.
bit.
Next 3 years.
So anyway, just on this page.
Locally, they're more concerned
Well,
with
there's
the
another one on
imagery
this
than
page.
On this, so this 5,000 to 560 is all pretty much in line with
Well, hang on,
current.
5550, Smart Meadow.
Yeah.
How do we work that? Because we will be doing something to it, I assume.
If I didn't know what was going on, that's why I left that one blank. Is anything going on with Snow Meadow for this year?
It was.
Not in this calendar year, but in the next calendar year, we will have the forecast, won't
But
we?
it's not a revenue item, though, is it?
No, exactly.
no,
That's
Well,
why.
this isn't revenue, this is an expenditure.
That's, yeah, but it's, you know what I mean. It's not. It's not an expenditure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not revenue. I mean, it's not an ongoing expenditure item, is it? It's a capital.
not,
It's a
but if
capital.
you're planning to spend it as a capital item in that year, you have to budget for it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what I was just thinking, because although we've got some money, that section 106 money we can use in the region of about 40,000, I think if we want to replace it with the recycled plastic that we talked about, we may need to get some other money from elsewhere.
So all we're saying is that as a project can only fly if the two numbers balance each
Yeah,
other, don't they?
yeah.
And therefore, you know, you see, because the way we've got it here, it's hard to put a line in here, knowing that there has to be another line somewhere else for income for it. It's better that the two items are discussed at the same point.
Well, as long as they're actually going, one's going to be the same as the other one.
Yeah, but
If we have to socialise it from our budget, should we be putting some safeguard in this? Allocate some money.
It's not going to be funded out of our ongoing expenditure budget, is it? It's going to be funded
Section
out of
106
section 106 money.
That ENC currently holding for
So
us.
we're not going to put any money from our budget. Okay.
I feel it's
Well, I
better
think
not to at the moment. I think it's an item in its own right, otherwise we'll end up having the whole budget thrown out because of a complication like that. But just on the Jones Strong, the maintenance of Jones Strong at £500 is a bit cheap. I don't think we can get for much for £500, are we?
Which line are you
Do
on?
we have anything set?
5180.
the problem we always found is that if you start putting in vaguely realistic sums, but you are allocated to every building,
Yeah,
you then end up with far more budgeted than you're ever likely to
exactly.
spend.
That's the problem.
This is
That pushes you back towards the idea of a property contingency.
That's £3,570 spent last year.
That's the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then nothing spent this year.
At the moment.
And it's the same point I made earlier, isn't it, really? Is that, I can see what you've done is you've put £500 or £1,000 in against every individual property. You're never going to spend those £500, but you might spend £3,500 on one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Yeah.
I mean, we put that large contingency figure in last year, but if you're not going to put in money for each of your buildings, maybe there should be an amount of money put in
Yeah.
to, you know,
But I mean, that's what
You've got to do
David
one,
ju-
you've
David-
either got to do one or the other.
Or the
that's
other,
for
yeah.
sure.
that's the point David made, that it's changed in the past and it's gone from being a lump sum
Yeah.
to being £500 per building and back again 3 or 4 times. Well, I don't particularly want to change it for the sake of changing it if it's not adding anything.
yeah.
For the courthouse, that's 10,000 budgeted for this year, so we're on 20,
Sorry, which one? The court?
Courthouse.
Courthouse.
and that's current.
And there is, I think there's definitely work to be done. I mean, we've had all the windows done in the courtyard, but there's the windows on the front. And we've also got the gates to replace. That'll come out this financial year. isn't it?
We will.
So that's all part of this file, this 3-year plan, isn't it?
Mm.
Have all these
Yeah.
listed and then it's
Is the lesson from the courthouse is that we have to put more money aside because more goes wrong as old?
Sorry.
And we put the too little aside in previous years, and it's a lesson we should put more aside.
Well, I think it's just, each year we put money aside, but then if you don't spend it, it just goes into general reserve and we start again. Whereas sometimes, if you have a little pockets of money where you're building up,
Well, you can put it in general reserve and
But we
allocate
earmark
it
it. yeah.
to buildings.
So I think that's probably what we should do. Any unspent money in the under all of the buildings, we should put into a earmarked building fund.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't just get swallowed up. So if a big bill does come along unexpected, we can cover it.
If we're looking at the courthouse, that's jumping ahead again. Oh, the van. The vans.
Can I just,
No, I don't
again,
know why.
have we finished then with the items 5,000 to 5560? Has everyone said and asked everything they want to do on that? Yeah? Okay, so Next page is a mercifully short one, so what have we got here?
The only question I've got is on the van, whether we'll need any new vehicles at some point.
I have had a word with John, and he's going to have a look and see. He does, at the moment, he's not thinking of like big vehicles, but again, I think we talked about that going in the 3-year plan, didn't we?
Yeah.
Things like replacing tractors.
Well, unless he thinks it's going to break down next year.
I see we've got nothing in highways verges.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I didn't want to ask the question.
Sorry, I'm just going back to that previous page. Sorry.
Okay.
The last one, 5560.
Okay.
Is that how much we pay at the moment, East Northants, to pay to cover the highways verges?
We haven't got anything in this year.
There's nothing for this year. We haven't had any invoices for this year.
So we like to get one.
Maybe that's because the rest of the town is like Blackthorn Road when they don't get done.
Possibly.
Do they get done on the road?
No.
Have they not done it at all this year then?
Well, I haven't seen them on
I've seen
Blackthorn
the
Road.
invoices.
Not to say they haven't been done, but I haven't seen them.
But whatever it wasn't put in the budget for this calendar year, was it? So somebody must have realised that we hadn't got a bill coming in. So we put down the 3,400 whatever was a one-off payment.
Which verges have we got anyway?
We need to check again with the ENC, I think, and find out.
What's going on? Because I just assumed that they were going to continue.
Are we going to get a bill towards the end of this year?
Yeah.
Shock in
We
March,
currently
or are we?
obviously cut all of our own
We got away
areas
with
of
it.
grass.
Right.
But then the highways areas of grass, I thought we paid, I can't
We
think of
raised
the
an
name.
invoice for 942.
That's highways, Northamptonshire Highways paying us.
Yeah.
Because we pay to have a contractor cut their verges. But we, and I can't think of the name of it, Turnian or something, that East Northants contract out, but I thought we then had to pay them.
I don't
Not the actual contract, but East Northants,
I don't understand
which is
the
what
invoices.
that's about what that figure is.
Yeah, I don't know, I can check it out.
But
see
then
the
they obviously didn't bill us at all last year.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Well,
should.
this year, they would have bill last year, didn't we?
But it must be being cut at some point, because
What's been cut over? There's nothing in Hamden to cut, is there?
People are cutting their own. You've cut yours, haven't you?
Where is there?
You've done yours, I've seen you doing it.
And
So.
the next
I
door.
mean, if you thought about all the grass verges at Blackthorn Road, I know some of them are mud,
Yeah.
and not much grass, but they are highways, so
So-
we don't cut.
So we don't cut that, right?
Yeah,
Right.
we don't cut anything on the highway.
Yeah.
We've just got a few little areas of pockets of grass.
Yeah.
And then obviously our own recreation ground,
Yeah.
cemetery, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But it didn't look like it had been cut, at least once or twice this year.
Okay.
Well, like you say, I mean, there's the grass.
Oh, yeah.
There's the grass down Station Road as well, isn't there? Next to the football field.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen them. I'll tell you where I have definitely seen them this year cutting, and that's at Milton Road
Mm.
on the bank.
Well, if we're recording, I take it all back.
But they haven't, well, they haven't charged us.
Yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure something will
Yeah,
come.
we need to check.
I think I'll chase that.
Yeah.
So we're saying we need to put
Okay.
something in for that.
Yeah.
Well,
We need to get a figure and put that in, I think, at the next meeting, don't we?
Yeah,
Next finance
yeah, well,
meeting.
I'll find out.
I'm
We
just
need to put a sensible figure in there.
I'm confused as to why we didn't have anything in there for last year, for this
Yeah,
year, for this
that's
current year.
fine, yeah, I don't know.
Probably the same situation arose, we didn't notice it.
We probably hadn't had the invoice.
Well, the budget was done last year in about 2 hours in your office, wasn't
Yeah, and we were quite late as well, but we probably still haven't had the invoice, have we?
it?
I'm
I'll
wondering if there was
contact.
some thought that we were actually going to take over that function, and therefore that the cost would be inside our own open
Possibly.
space making.
Possibly.
budget.
Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
or in the contingency.
Yeah, talking of contingency, this 5700 code for NCC services, we put in 60k in the current year for things that we might end up having to do for county. We might still end up with gritting and stuff, so we might yet still get a bill for some of that later in the year if they can't manage to do it. But do we need to make that provision, carry that provision on in future years?
Well, it's not.
We were discussing if it doesn't get spent, how we pay it back or reduce.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much of it's going to get spent, does it? So I would say if that's still sitting there, that we take it out of the precept next year, and it's still sitting there if we need it.
There's one other thing that came through from the NALC update, October 2018, whilst you're on that subject.
Yeah, so group those grass roads, cutting weed. Yeah. And I'd still say that
It goes back to what you were saying.
my attitude is that we shouldn't be just building these costs into our budget and letting others off the hook for not doing them.
The only thing, if we obviously choose not to put any contingency into this year's budget, that means you're going to drop your budget by 60,000. So you would be in a situation where you're possibly dropping your precept.
Yeah.
I would advise against that, absolutely.
That really would be
About
unwise.
dropping your precept.
I'd rather start
Because-
earmarking it for building renovation or what have you.
Because, sorry, why do you feel that's a bad idea?
Because every council I've ever known that's put in a reduced precept ends up next year or the year after having to put it back up huge amounts.
We haven't done it much, but we did do it. I couldn't tell you now when, it wasn't that long ago. And we did exactly that. And then, of course, we got criticised because the following year the precept appears to have gone up by a significant percentage, whereas we just increased it marginally.
Yeah, I think we're so close to not knowing what's going to happen in 2020. To put a precept lower this year would be a mistake.
I think I could sort of accept that if we weren't in a situation where we'd put a load of money in, which we haven't found use for, on a basis it's going to be used as a contingency, for a contingency. It's going to be sitting in our reserves, and at the moment we're projecting a full year variance that's probably £100,000 positive, more than that.
But I think our reserves were dangerously low, and this is actually just putting us in a reasonably comfortable position. Before we were.
But if everything goes next year as it does this year, our reserves will have grown by this year by over 60,000, and will grow again next year by over 60,000.
I think that is actually remarkably unlikely. And the reason it's remarkably unlikely is because something will come out of the woodwork that we're going to have to spend money on that we don't expect. E.g. the courthouse, where we spent 2.5 times what we budgeted or whatever.
We're going to spend 120,000.
But you're also going to end up with the possibility of funding a fairly significant project. And there are things like replacing the skateboard park. But looking beyond that, we're going to end up having to spend some money, no doubt. Even if we get the land for the cemetery extension, we're going to have to spend money on that. It won't take long for various things to crop up, and that's excluding the possibility that within the next financial year we run into a problem with the library across the road there, which is why the bulk of that money was in there, and you've got the issue of capping. I would rather put the money away for a rainy day, and depending on how the figures look at the end of the day, and have a decent contingency available to us, than start pretending it's Christmas and saying to everybody you're going to have to pay a lot less, because I think in the long run we'll come to rue it. And there'll be other opportunities. I mean, we've held our grants budget steady for the last few years. Maybe there would be an opportunity to look at whether that should be increased. Because it's optional spending, just because it's in the budget we don't have to spend it. But at least it would be there if we decided we wanted to.
I mean, you may, if you have got a large difference, you know, then we can think, well, actually, we could probably put the money in to replace that meadow to match.
Exactly.
And we could
we've
perhaps
got, I feel that we've got enough big projects that we would like to be associated with. Take Fletton Fields, Snipe Meadow, Quebec Hall. You know, we've got some big things in there, and we just talked earlier about how much interest we're paying on money for Queen Vic. Yeah,
I'm just a bit worried about who's representing the council taxpayer here, though. You know, I mean, we can keep banging more and more money in the budget, you know, as much as we like, but it's, at the end of the day, it's people who have to foot the bill, isn't it?
And I agree with that. I mean, my natural instinct is to get some money back to the taxpayer. But we've got 2-page document for a 3-year plan.
Oh, sorry, you have to give me a little bit more information. 2 pages. Yes.
A 2-page document for a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
A third of that, not a third of the money, but a third of that obviously is going to, up to a third of that is going to happen next year, and we haven't got any figures in yet. So this is distorted already.
Yeah.
I'm with David. Let's wait and see till we've got everything in front of us.
Okay. So I think we've had a good old debate then about that page. This is up
Well,
to
just all these lines that we've got nothing against, they're all threats that have been given us, haven't they? That
Yes.
we've taken
Yeah.
them all on.
Yeah.
They're all in that 160k sum.
Yeah, but the 60k is going out of. Oh, sorry,
It's there.
we've got it in next year's budget. Yeah, right.
I don't think we're going to get. I don't think we will be having to fill potholes in the near future. But I do think things like weeding, spraying, even cleaning gutters, you know, road sweeping, that sort of thing. I think they're the sorts of things that we might get, and we might want to choose to think about.
Well, either you've got to buy the equipment and maybe the people, or you subcontract it.
Yeah.
Attachment to the letter you tell.
Yeah, are we okay then on that one? So the next page covers 6014 to 7023.
Just as a general comment on this page, it's very unusual to see everybody's personal salaries on a document like this.
You're the only one that's in, well,
Yeah, but even even
Right.
at this level, you know, I'm not convinced it's necessary. You know, we've got salaries. Yeah. And, you know,
okay,
it's
yeah,
personal
we can do it as a,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You know, leave it to the rest of the people. But
Again, at one stage there used to be a figure for salaries.
yeah,
Mm.
so you know, there might be a discussion in the personnel committee.
Okay.
But to be on this document.
Well, there's one way of getting around it, in the sense you could put employee 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we don't identify who is which one, but you just then know how many employees you've got and what. It's a bit like some of the company accounts you see, you know, you've got so many employees who are paid between X and Y sum, you don't know who they are. Or we could do much the same with this to anonymise it. But somebody in a sense needs to have that information, and I don't think it is unreasonable for the Finance Committee to have it. And when you think about it, the Personnel Committee are probably setting those salaries and recommending it to Finance, so it becomes a bit nonsensical.
Well,
Where it doesn't want to be is in a forward-facing document that any member of the public gets
well,
to see.
that's the thing. I mean, obviously, we don't want this to get into anybody else's hands.
But I would have been quite happy on here just to have salaries. You know, rather than the individuals, and then you say.
Well, maybe that's what's going forward.
That's what it used to be at
Yeah.
one stage, and then wanted to be changed.
Yes, I'm sorry, we got the.
It is in the
driven mad by us,
Well, it doesn't. It's not individual on the monthly stuff, is it?
No, on the monthly stuff it just comes out
Yeah.
as a single
but- yeah.
figure.
Okay, carry on.
And from a to see how those figures are based, or do you want to go through that?
Where are we? Because
We're talking about
I
wages,
haven't-
there's certain,
we're talking about what?
if you're talking about wages, there's a certain percentage.
Have we-
involved.
Have we talked about what's at the top of the page, this page? No, no.
I don't have a page on mine, I've just got a screen.
I've suddenly realised I need reading
Pest control.
glasses.
Yeah.
I have got an appointment with opticians on Thursday.
608, windows.
Yeah, like the pest control and windows, that was what I was...
Well, it just says windows here, 6018. We've got an item in for this year's budget, but not for next year. Don't know why is that?
We do that, it's just this was part of the whole movement of nominal codes around the
Oh, right, okay. So somewhere else.
Yeah,
Where else is it?
we've got 6018 and 6029,
Okay.
because at one stage everything for the courthouse, all the contracts were in one lump, so
Okay.
it's far easier to break it down to every single line.
Does the same apply to 6026 where we got?
6026 courthouse repairs and maintenance, yeah.
So that's now appears somewhere else, does it as well?
Sorry, Jeremy.
So that now appears somewhere else, does it?
No, it was just the windows which had been broken down. At one stage it was in one area, and then moved it.
So why haven't we got a budget for courthouse repairs and maintenance then?
We do have 6026.
But there's no money in there.
Ah,
For
right.
2010.
Yes, I wasn't sure if anything else was going on. I haven't filled in every line. I assumed that some of these things would be discussed tonight.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if there's any other plans for the courthouse for next year. I know there's a roofing being done, but there's also some work potentially being done possibly this weekend.
We've got some more to do on the roof then, I thought we'd done that.
No, the roof's finished.
What about the,
Ceiling's finished.
yes, well, ceiling's finished.
Yeah, well, it's just got to be painted.
Okay.
So this comes after the 3-year plan then?
Yeah, this is stuff that we've done this
No,
summer.
for this next budget.
Yeah, I mean, I don't envisage anything happening with the roof in the next year, it says. Because
Councillor Chapel will tell you about that, I'm sure.
the front part of the roof, they said, we've been told is okay, and we've had the back all redone. So, unless,
But there's lots of other things that go wrong.
yeah, oh yeah.
Those gates we've got in this year, haven't we?
Yeah, that's we're just trying to sort out the best way. The contractor wanted to take them away for 2 weeks to do a template, but it's knowing what to put in place to secure it,
we
because
still
obviously
put it-
you've got all that museum.
We still need to put the figure in there in case something else comes up.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I think this is the
Okay,
the 3-year plan's going to be looking at, isn't it?
yeah.
So we've just
So-
got to think about potentials.
So we've got to have some numbers for the next finance meeting. We've got to have some numbers
Yeah.
from the states, haven't we? Basically, to say this is what we're proposing to spend next year. Even if it isn't absolutely defined as exactly what this is what the quote is, but at least we have a number that we can say, well, we'll put £20,000 in the budget to cover what we intend to do in the first year or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think although we did do that, we did a sort of site inspection earlier on. I wonder whether we perhaps should go back to the buildings or go back and really have a look and see.
Yeah, I mean, you just want the counting, don't you?
Yeah.
Because
Because I think the courthouse needs
you
stuff right.
put a number down, it's better than nothing at all. And
Yeah.
time's the issue now, isn't it? So
Mm.
you can spend all year trying to perfect it.
Yeah.
But if you've got a number that's there for major maintenance work,
Yeah.
you've got that amount of money to spend next financial year. When it's spent, it's spent, and anything else gets pushed down the list, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Just looking at all the salaries, it's very difficult to follow what's going on here because the numbers are all changing budget to budget.
In terms
So
of,
it might be.
Just mind what it takes on.
I know it is, yeah.
So if we shout.
So yes, so we don't want to be mentioning any
No, there's no
individual numbers,
mention.
but because we haven't got it all down as a total amount, it's very difficult to compare one year to the next.
Right, yeah, so
and-
that should, get a
But,
number.
Need a
so
subtotal.
there's certain certain percentages involved dependent upon what grades people are at, and those have been implemented as roughly as I can in here. There's one percentage which is set in stone, which Emma can talk to you about, and there's another percentage which is within a range.
I'm sure it's all been done like that, but what I'm trying to say is that it's very difficult for,
You want to stick with the-
without sitting down and talking about individuals, which you're not going to do
Yeah.
for that reason. It's difficult to understand why, you know, budget for in one area has changed, not necessarily up. Some of them have gone significantly down.
Some people aren't here anymore.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I realise that's the case, but it makes it very difficult to compare one to the other.
And have we got anything in here for New South?
Emma?
New staff, I'm not, other than what we've got in there, I didn't know whether we were taking any new.
Well, I thought we were going to take one new one on.
But I think that's already on there.
It is in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Those jobs are all there, I think.
yeah.
Just reshuffle.
it says it is.
You just need to check on that one, don't you?
Have we heard, Emma or Paul, NJC increases? Have we got those figures of what?
Yeah, it's not been confirmed yet.
I think
But-
I might have something on here.
Above, I think, was it 20? It's a possibility it's going to be 2%.
Yeah.
Under that, it's anything from 2% to 4.75%, I think.
Right. Are we going to have some more grades at the bottom going, and is that
I
going
don't
to be...
think, although they
Like
are
we had Last
reviewing,
year we had
Yeah.
a situation where some of the lower grades disappeared altogether and we
they
were
are
uplifting,
reviewing it again.
and
So
then
that,
having to look at differentials.
Well, that is
oh,
for next year,
4.65.
the living wage rate will be £9 per hour.
Mm.
So you're getting dangerously close to other people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
So we have the same
So
problem.
you might have differential problems again, where you've got to uplift some of the others.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at that by the next meeting, I think, so that we build those into our budgets.
Yeah, grade 29 and above will increase by 2%, but again, it's not been confirmed yet.
Right.
Below
Between
will be
2.28 and
2.28
4.65,
4.65.
and I put in here as being 3, just as a rough guide.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be helpful to even if you keep the actual budget separated out line by line, I think it would be helpful if you rolled all the salaries up into one number,
So that you can see.
so that we can see how it
Total.
compares year to year.
And your subtotal line in
yeah.
here, I think,
Yeah.
so you've got both, so
Yeah,
you've
not
got
yet,
the
so yeah,
individual
yeah.
and you've got the subtotal line.
Because
You can see it as a cumulative thing.
because you know what we're expecting to see is this year actuals will be well below budget because we've had big chunks of the year where we've been understaffed. Next year we're going to budget for all the staff, and the proposal that Emma put forward was virtually identical in total numbers of hours, wasn't it? I think it might be a
Yeah.
slight 1 or 2 hours more in the week, something like that, very, very, very small
So what it's
change.
going to be.
But we'd probably have a factor in a above inflation wage increase in that as well, because of what you've just been talking about.
Yeah.
And if we can see all of that in sort of
Yeah.
3 numbers aggregated, I think it might be a little bit easier for people to
Okay.
understand and talk about without
Going into
going into
because you
individual,
can't really
individual
see
one.
it
Yeah,
so
yeah,
easily,
yeah.
yeah.
Jerry, when you talk about that, are you talking about putting all the staff into that? Because we've got hub staff, we've got maintenance
Well,
staff. in
You could split it maintenance, office, hub, yeah,
We
yeah.
need all the staff in one place, don't we? They can be split inside there.
Yeah, yeah.
You should be here, hub staff and the
Yeah.
gardening staff and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
People wanting breakdown of pub rather than...
Well, that's another issue though, isn't it? You know, that's an issue about the profit and loss of the hub. You can always do that, but at this level, as long as you've got it in one big lump, then you can cope with roundabouts and swings easier.
Yeah.
And yeah, as we started talking about the hub, I mean, I guess same applies again, isn't it? And that we probably have run below budget projected, haven't we? Have we? Or not?
I've increased the cost for the staff in relation to what I expected prices to go when we were about to income about 2 hours ago. Because if you're going to have more income, you will have obviously
More
more
staff?
expense.
Yeah, sure.
And in terms of the hub staff, this year they've worked 1,400 hours. So you can assume, well, I put it in as being next year was, you can put it in as being 3,500 hours. Again, at £9 an hour, which gets to the figure.
I don't feel I'm in a position to comment on whether that makes sense or
You've
not.
got
I
two
mean,
normal pairs of stones, 7017.
7017, that's where the hub cost centre is.
Right.
That's all. But at the time, they were just broken down into team leaders and staff, because one is on one amount of pay, and the staff are on something else. And at that stage, you'll probably have to stop looking through your life, because I haven't done any more, and then you found out about this meeting about 10 days later.
right.
A lot of these are just costs you can increase by inflation, aren't there? Whereas a lot of them.
What I try and do is make it as accurate as I can,
Yes.
so that when things move up, there's no big scary sums next year.
But just one, I think we possibly ought to put more in elections, just in case we do have an election next year, because if we do, and let's say district council and county council don't, then we will have to pay for it all ourselves.
Can I point out in December 2015, you put £5,000 into reserves for that.
Okay.
So I have no idea whether that's enough. Do we feel that's enough?
Well,
Generally,
well, it is when we're in,
Well,
when
that's
it's including district as well. If it's not, I don't know if we have to take the whole cost.
It's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's always been that would be about what it would be if we were in line with same as the district.
Yeah.
But they think that there won't be an election for them, but there may still be for us.
Yeah.
They've extended their term by a year, haven't they?
yeah.
What district?
District
No,
councillors.
they're working, and we've at the last town clerks meeting we were all told to work along the lines. And I think it was at the local parishes. Sian touched on it, as if we are going to have an election, everybody should be allowing for the fact that we might have to have an election next year, county, district and us.
Yeah.
Because nobody will know until about January, February as to whether we have to or not, whether their Secretary of State have say the district and council don't need to bother. But we may still have to
Yeah, we
have
understand it, yeah. So it makes sense to have something in the budget, doesn't it? So what we're saying is that this is as far as we've got, basically. I mean, I think what would be helpful would be if we came up with a list of substantive points that we need to be making. So, I mean, you know, we can argue, you know, inflation here, and, last year's forecast projected number versus next year's budget. But I mean, they're all very small differences ultimately, aren't they? So I would suggest there are a relatively small number of substantial points that we need to actually make a decision on. Things like, what are we going to budget for the hub? What does that mean? You know, not just for the income, what does that mean for the expenditure in the hub? The NCC costs line. I'm not going to reopen that debate. You've heard my views. There seems to be quite a strong view around the table that we do keep that in and to continue to build our reserves. If that's the majority, that's obviously that'll be what will happen.
Well, just on that point, is that an issue that gets debated at a full council? Where is it normally covered?
Yeah. So when we put that 60,000 in last year, we voted on it as full council. Yes.
Okay.
One other thing is marketing. It ended up for some reason as a hub cost, and we moved it last year, late on in the year, didn't we? We moved it to another code. Is that what's now called Fletton House marketing? Because it shouldn't even be Fletton House really. It shouldn't reflect costs there. It should be marketing is marketing across the whole council really.
There's nothing in for it this year yet, is there? But there will be.
There will be. There will be.
I'll tell you.
There's also, the marketing also covers Queen Victoria Hall.
Yeah.
But at the
We
moment,
took we had 1,000 in there 2 years ago. We took that 1,000 out, took some other bits out of other places, including hub marketing had a little bit in, and we created this figure of 15,000 so that we had a marketing budget. But that should have been a heading on its own, not under Fletton House, certainly not under the hub. And we did move it last year late on, didn't we?
at the moment, none of it's been spent anyway. Where would you
No.
like to go this time?
Well, I thought we created a new code just for marketing, in the same way as we've got a code for telephone, stationery, postage, photocopying. We'd have a figure for marketing.
So instead of
Because-
calling it Fletton House marketing, we just call it Flat.
Yeah, otherwise it reflects in Fletton House
Just take
costs.
out the words Fletton House.
So, let's see.
It's in amongst all the Fletton House items, that's the...
Yeah, it is down here, it's
Yeah, it's,
the 7273.
Yeah. Seems in the right.
Duplicate, yeah.
Well,
So it just wants to be against no particular.
Yes.
Yeah.
About
Yeah, and we certainly don't want it in the hub, otherwise it will inflate the hub costs if the marketing groups start spending money on promoting things.
So I'm going to something else.
I'm quite keen that we actually look at some of these potential capital projects.
Mm-hmm.
I know what we've said about, for example, the extension to this building, but we're setting a budget that takes us right through to 2020. And I seriously think that we should be budgeting in next year for the extension to this building. I think we should be budgeting for work on the skate park. And I think we should be thinking very carefully about whether there are any other significant projects that we might want to undertake. Bearing in mind that we will clearly have an underspend this year. I'm not just saying spend it for the sake of it, but on the other hand, if there are things that would clearly benefit the town, particularly if they're things that we've had on a wish list and keep sort of putting back and putting back and putting back, this might be our opportunity to actually bring some of those things forward.
I should hopefully by the next meeting have a rough cost for the whole of the cost for the workshop. So then I can work out, you know, public works going on that, and you will be able to put that in.
Smashing.
And the other thing is, when we talk about marketing, you said that figure was for QVH as well. Shouldn't that be in? Shouldn't marketing QVH be in the QVH budget?
You're right.
Probably technically because it's a separate
Yeah.
entity, isn't it? There was £1,000 in there at one time, and then we stopped putting 1,000 in there, and we started to put the whole thing into one pot, because when we came to do some marketing, we found that if we were going to do anything at all, that amount was absolutely useless, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's why we put the whole lot together.
Yeah. I just,
But
because
you're
we do do
probably
a
technically
QVH
right.
budget, don't we?
Yeah.
So I think technically the marketing side of the QVH should be in the QVH budget.
Well,
Yeah.
just for simplicity though, I just put it in the marketing budget in its own right. Then it doesn't matter whether it's QVH, Fletton House or anything else that we want to market.
Because the brochures that came out have got the QVH.
Yeah,
on
although
as well.
but when we do, when those brochures, did they come out the QVH?
No.
No, it all came out at the time out of hub marketing, which is why we moved it from hub into a...
Because expenditure on the QVH should really come out of the QVH.
Do we legally have to put all expenditure for the QVH against the QVH?
Well, it has its own bank account and it has its own.
I suppose the
and it has
town
its
council could send a bill to the Queen Victoria Hall trustees for
See,
their
it's-
share of the cost of that advertising leaflet if we really want
But
to do it.
But technically, you're then not getting a true.
No.
You're not getting proper accounts on your QVH.
No.
Are you, if you're paying.
I don't think it's going to make a massive difference to the whole.
Technically you're right, but I don't think it's...
I think it's extra bureaucracy.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense.
I think, well, if we undertake a significant marketing activity which is directly attributable to QVH, and there's then we can identify the separate costs, then at that point we think we ought to transfer the cost. But it's probably not worth it at this stage because we haven't done anything
No,
significant
no,
yet.
that's right, yeah.
And it is difficult because in a sense we're marketing across a range. We might be saying, well, you know, we may not find what we want in Fletton House, but on the other hand we have got the Queen Victoria Hall available. And if you're running two completely separate marketing campaigns, you need to lose
As
that.
Paul was saying, you know, maybe we're using hub staff down at
But also,
QEH
I
as
think,
well, so they're going to get better.
yeah, but I still think that we should be careful that we're not doing something that we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Because you manage the QVH as a trustee. You don't manage it as Oundle Town Council.
Well, why not go back to what I just said? Why doesn't the town council invoice the trustees for a small amount for their share of those costs of producing those brochures? I mean, the amount's going to be negligible.
And the
Well, at
chances
least
are
there's
they'll
a
have to give them
paper
a
trail
grant
to
to cover
show
it.
it.
But I mean,
Yeah, we'll give them a grant to pay it. Yeah.
yeah, but it's just having, because we have to submit those accounts, and we may be soon getting to a position where they will need to be audited.
If we own more than
And I
25,000,
don't want us to be doing
Yeah, no, I think you're
things
absolutely
that
right. Yeah.
are incorrect.
There's a lot of
Technically,
ideas on
right,
anything in
yeah.
terms of VAT has to be transferred from OTC to
Yeah.
QVH or vice versa. And sometimes something is bought on the OTC card, which is for the Green Victoria Wall, so one has to go backwards and forwards.
We're rapidly approaching 9:30. I don't really want to go on beyond 9:30. So I was go on.
I have one question. Somewhere along the line, we were supposed to be budgeting for LGR fund.
Sorry.
LGR fund, and I have no idea what it is.
That's one saving then. Local government review.
I'm not sure, it came through from Danny Moody or something. Said make sure you have a line in your budget for LGR fund. So,
But local government review fund.
I don't know what it was.
Well,
We're giving £1.50.
That's all to ask Danny.
I hope we're not going to be.
Anyway,
The only thing that we may be charged for extra is this year. But I think that will come through our subscription with Northants Cloud, because I think we may have a small amount of money to pay for the data protection officer, because they gave us it for free this year. They are our data protection
Yeah.
officer.
Yeah.
We have to pay a small amount, but I don't. That would be local government review.
It's even closer to 9:30 now. So what I'm going to suggest, if it's okay with everyone, is that we do a couple of things. We leave Paul to get on with it, basically, because I mean, the vast majority of these lines, it is going to be inflation or some meaningful assumptions that you're making. We draw up a list of the things that we think are significant that we want to run past full council. So I outlined 2 or 3 of them. But if we perhaps do that via email and you know, between us, I mean, and between me and Paul maybe, and I'll circulate to everyone, say this is the list of things that we want to bring to the attention of the full council of the significant issues that we've got to make decisions on, and then we've got that ready as a document to present before the full council. Finalise it at the next finance meeting, present it to full council in December, so that we're not going to ask the full council to go to every item line by line. We're just going to say, this is the general approach in these areas, but these are the specific things where we've made a decision, and this is the decision that we're proposing. Yeah?
So do you need that by December or by next Tuesday?
I think we need that by the December finance meeting. And obviously, you know, if individual members of the committee want to have an input into that, then, you know, talk to me, talk to Paul, and we'll put it together between us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. Last item is any other business for report only. So if anyone got anything they want to raise at this point? No?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor Stagg.
It's my understanding that the staff are having themselves a Christmas party.
Oh. And they haven't invited us yet.
Irrespective of the one that takes place on the last day. I would like to propose that each councillor contributes to that, their own personal money.
That's very generous of you.
We've done it in past years, so yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't...
Well, okay.
And you can't approve it now. That's just because you're in any other business.
Well, and I think, and also, it's not really to me, it's not really a finance committee decision. It's an individual. I mean, if an individual council's going to turn around and say, "No, I'm not prepared to do it," I don't think we can force them, can we?
And also, we need to have a conversation about what you'd like to do as well, I suppose, for Christmas.
Oh, well.
Previous years, the mayor has paid for the buffet. You know, the
Oh,
Friday.
another one of my perks.
Not out of your personal money, out of your met.
Oh, my perks.
I
Okay.
did that. I think Val Val may have done that as well.
Yeah, I don't know whether what
Paid
happened
her own
before
pocket.
that.
Well, again, I think it's not really a
Yeah.
committee decision.
No,
I think
I mean,
that's
that's what
something
you-
for us to talk
Can
about
I
separately.
have my proposal put to full council,
Mhm.
since we're asking them to pay money, well, at least I am.
I don't think.
I don't think you
it's
can.
business,
I don't think it's council
personal
business.
issues that,
If you,
So how are we going to ask people then?
you know.
well, you can. I think you can do what you've just done now and set and propose at the end of the next council meeting on Tuesday
Right,
that
okay.
that we do it. And if that's, you know, I know, you know, personally I don't have a problem with that. But obviously, like you say, you can't. Don't think we can vote as a council to ask councillors to commit their own
No,
money.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, but no, I'm fine with what you suggested. That's great. Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Meeting closed at whatever.
And what was tourism?